You are 13 years old when Oklahoma's afternoon suddenly disappears beneath a towering wall of black dust. Sunday sunlight vanishes instantly, and terrified children grip a rescue rope across the silent schoolyard together. Your teacher counts every step because losing one child suddenly feels frighteningly possible before reaching safety. Dust storms become weekly visitors, swallowing wheat fields before anyone finishes praying for rain. Your little sister spends nights coughing until every breath sounds heavier than yesterday's fading hope. By 17, your family's farmhouse feels smaller because every season steals another piece of tomorrow. Your father's handshake grows softer, while empty harvest wagons quietly replace every celebration you remember. One schoolbook photograph shows endless ocean, stretching farther than your imagination has ever traveled. You study that single picture until freedom begins looking exactly like blue water. Spring 1940 finally arrives carrying a bus ticket toward Oklahoma City, and another chance entirely. A Navy recruiter asks why someone your age suddenly wants a different future today. You mention serving America because strangers rarely deserve your deepest reasons for leaving home. Your real answer sounds simpler: steady meals, steady pay, and water without painful memories attached. $21 monthly feels unbelievable after years, where every penny already had another purpose. Half the waiting room quietly carries depression scars nobody bothers mentioning before signing enlistment papers. Basic training replaces blowing dirt with shouted commands echoing across freshly painted parade grounds every dawn. Salt air surprises you because breathing suddenly stops feeling like borrowing another precious chance. Then the Navy assigns you somewhere carrying your old home, inside its unforgettable name. Your new battleship is called USS Oklahoma, making every sailor nearby laugh before breakfast begins. You escaped Oklahoma once, yet Oklahoma somehow follows you across the Pacific anyway. The battleship stretches farther than every building your hometown ever placed along one street. Fresh water flows aboard daily, and nobody warns you against drinking another grateful cup. For the first time, thirst becomes a memory instead of tomorrow's biggest question waiting. Older sailors joke your ship belongs inside a museum before every maintenance inspection begins. You love her anyway, because stubborn things often survive longer than confident ones eventually. Danny promises Christmas tamales whenever both of you finally return home safely together. You shake hands because 19-year-olds naturally believe promises easily outlive dangerous possibilities ahead. Autumn newspapers mention Japan often, yet every headline feels comfortably distant aboard your battleship. Harbor lights still glow nightly because peace continues pretending tomorrow resembles yesterday perfectly. Chief reads headlines differently, warning that America simply arrived late to history's next storm. Nobody argues with him because experience sometimes sounds wiser than optimism before breakfast. Saturday evening ends with Danny pressing his spare drumstick into your waiting hand for luck. Dawn arrives peacefully, and your battleship wakes beneath beautiful Hawaiian skies before everything changes forever. You hear distant engines first, expecting another routine exercise instead of history arriving overhead unexpectedly. Low-flying aircraft cross Ford Island, and nobody beside you reaches for real fear yet. The first explosion tears apart peaceful certainty before anyone finishes saying the word drill aloud. Your battleship shudders violently as a torpedo strikes beneath the port side without warning. Steel groans beneath your boots, while breakfast conversations instantly become desperate survival decisions everywhere. Another impact follows quickly, pushing frightened sailors against walls already beginning to tilt sideways. General quarters echoes across twisting passageways, where familiar corridors suddenly stop making ordinary sense anymore. Electric lights disappear instantly, leaving shouted directions stronger than darkness surrounding every frightened heartbeat. Water rushes inward faster than anyone expected during every practiced emergency drill before today. You climb upward blindly because every instinct suddenly points toward daylight instead of duty. A young sailor freezes beside overturned lockers until someone yanks him toward another ladder. Chief Ostrowski waits below with a battle lantern, counting every survivor passing through darkness carefully. His calm voice somehow sounds louder than explosions shaking the harbor outside every steel compartment. He presses his silver bosun's pipe into your trembling palm before turning back downstairs. You try refusing it, but another frightened sailor already needs his steady hands instead. The ladder feels impossibly steep because your battleship keeps rolling beneath every uncertain step upward. Suddenly, you realize you're walking across your ship's side instead of her familiar deck. Moments later, black fuel oil swallows you beneath smoke, burning debris, and terrified voices together. Swimming becomes harder because every stroke carries thick oil across your face and frightened lungs. Machine gun fire rips nearby water, forcing everyone underwater whenever another aircraft circles overhead aggressively. Then an enormous blast shakes the entire harbor harder than anything you've ever imagined possible. A towering fireball rises nearby, stealing breath from everyone still floating through burning water below. For one terrifying moment, silence feels impossible because even explosions seem overwhelmed by destruction itself. You finally reach Ford Island covered completely in black oil, instead of recognizable skin anymore. Your shaking fingers discover Danny's spare drumstick, still resting inside your soaked uniform pocket. You cannot remember protecting it, yet somehow it survived everything surrounding both of you. Surviving sailors gather together, while officers begin calling names beneath smoky Hawaiian skies before noon. Every unanswered name suddenly feels heavier than another destroyed battleship burning across the harbor nearby. Danny's name receives only silence, and hope suddenly becomes frighteningly difficult to hold anymore. Night falls with invasion rumors spreading faster than confirmed news across exhausted defensive positions everywhere. American gunners mistakenly fire toward friendly aircraft because fear suddenly outruns careful recognition everywhere. Monday morning brings unbelievable news that trapped sailors are still knocking from inside Oklahoma's overturned hull. Civilian shipyard workers arrive carrying cutting tools because every remaining minute suddenly matters more. You volunteer immediately because waiting safely ashore somehow feels worse than facing another impossible risk. Every hammer strike forces rescuers to balance precious trapped air against rising floodwater inside compartments. Sweat mixes with oil while everyone listens desperately for another answering knock beneath warm steel. Then a familiar rhythm echoes faintly, sounding strangely like laughter surviving impossible darkness below. You tap back instinctively, praying your memory recognizes the drummer before rescue reaches anyone alive. Cutting crews finally open another compartment, pulling exhausted survivors into sunlight one grateful heartbeat at once. You keep searching Danny's face among rescued sailors, but another painful silence answers instead. The tapping finally stops, leaving every survivor listening for answers that never come again. Oklahoma keeps her secrets, while the harbor slowly counts another impossible morning together. Official numbers arrive later, but grief already knows exactly whose voice never returned. America remembers Pearl Harbor with posters, while you remember burned oil across frightened faces. New recruits flood recruiting stations because they still believe war begins tomorrow instead of yesterday. You return to duty carrying Chief Ostroska's silver pipe inside every freshly pressed uniform pocket. His final words quietly become your own whenever morning muster begins before another dangerous day. You answer every name carefully because silence deserves witnesses before becoming permanent history. Promotion eventually makes you chief, though the title never feels as heavy as responsibility. Younger sailors remind you of yourself before Pearl Harbor rewrote every ordinary expectation forever. You teach discipline gently because courage sometimes sounds quieter than shouting across crowded decks. Every sunrise over open water still reminds you how quickly beautiful mornings can betray certainty. War carries you across oceans, where victories never erase familiar memories from December's burning harbor. Letters home become longer because unfinished conversations suddenly feel too dangerous to postpone anymore. Danny's drumstick travels everywhere, surviving inspections, deployments, and lonely nights beneath unfamiliar stars. Sometimes you tap its rhythm softly, refusing to let friendship disappear with unanswered roll calls. Years later, workers finally raise Oklahoma from Pearl Harbor's muddy bottom into daylight again. You force yourself to watch because some goodbyes deserve witnesses before disappearing forever. She never sails into battle again, yet somehow she still looks stubborn above calm water. Part of you feels grateful because broken ships sometimes deserve peaceful endings instead of applause. A forwarded letter finally reaches you from Danny's grandmother months after Pearl Harbor changed everything. She thanks whoever answered his final rhythm before darkness closed around impossible hope completely. Her words stay folded inside your wallet until paper begins wearing thin with decades. The war finally ends, but surviving never feels exactly like winning another battle. Home welcomes you with quiet hugs instead of questions nobody truly knows asking. Your mother saves your final pre-war letter beside her family Bible for years afterward. Reading those innocent sentences suddenly feels stranger than hearing another distant explosion across water. Christmas eventually brings Danny's promised tamales exactly the way he always described them, laughing. His family places another plate beside yours because remembered promises still deserve honored places. His mother returns the drumstick, saying luck sometimes chooses unexpected people before staying forever. You build an ordinary life because ordinary moments become life's rarest victories after surviving catastrophe. Every reunion becomes another muster, where fewer familiar voices answer each passing year together. 50 years later, Pearl Harbor looks peaceful enough to fool anyone visiting for photographs. You know, beauty sometimes grows where unimaginable loss quietly changed generations, forever beneath calm water. Volunteers begin reading every fallen sailor's name across the memorial with patient reverence together. When Danny Cruz is called, your heartbeat finishes another rhythm before your voice responds softly. You answer here because true friendship never expires when someone remembers your place forever. Then you touch Chief Ostrowski's silver pipe, keeping another promise made beneath collapsing steel. You finally understand muster was never attendance. It was refusing to abandon forgotten names. And every December 7th, you answer again, proving memory sometimes becomes history's strongest surviving duty.